Pesa ya Kenya yote saa ile waliona uchaguzi umeharibika walibeba na magunia. Hata hii petition huyu mzee ya maandamano hakuwa anataka, alisukumwa aweke petition to allow them room wakati ya Supreme Court inasikiza kesi waibe mali ya Kenya. Between the time IBC announced William Ruto as president and the day he was sworn in, they looted more than 24 billion shillings in this country.
The Deputy President backed claims made by the Budget and Appropriations Committee.
Mheshimiwa Kagombe?
I like the lessons that my brother here is trying to teach me. But I want to tell him that I am a politician, and when I sit in the Public Accounts Committee, I am not just confined to what happened in the previous fiscal year. I have responsibility as a politician to know exactly even what the government is engaged in today. So when I say that we know what has been happening in the first quarter of this fiscal year, I know exactly what I'm talking about. Number two, these are the same people who've been saying fungua sava, we want to know the truth. In that spirit of openness and transparency, why are you afraid of the Deputy President naming? We just wait for him to name. We know who it is. Then you will come and tell us, no, you know that person did not do ABCD. We just want the Deputy President to name those people. And I just don't want to take the bubble away from him. I would have just named them here.
Yes.
Because we know them. The list is available. We know who these people are. And finally, we are not saying that money was not appropriated. Those things, the fiscal things, you heard very well what the Deputy President has said. We are not saying that this money was planned or was not budgeted for. We are saying money was stolen. You're not saying it went through this State Department. No, we're saying people went na magunia.
Yeah.
You know what that means? Maybe he doesn't understand what magunia means. It means that people went to public coffers, to the consolidated central bank, literally, and just took away money. And I know he's going to tell me, that's not how the law works. We know. And that is why we are angry, because that is not how it should happen. Money should be expended in a particular way through the financial systems that are established and the financial infrastructure that is established in this country. Because this is not a banana republic. This is not a place where people go and take money and put in helicopters.
Somebody would ask about the timing of that revelation, because to the best of my knowledge, the Azimio leader Raila Odinga is almost also naming or giving his revelation the next few days, next course of action. Should someone say that it's like a counter?
Raila Odinga has nothing to disclose to Kenyans. We know what... The only thing he can disclose to Kenyans is that he's now accepting that he lost his seat. There's nothing Raila can come and disclose to Kenyans. What? He's the one who was in that government. All these atrocities that were perpetrated against Kenyans were done under his watch, in a government that he sat in a government where they sat with the principle and said, this is how we're going to rule this country. So he has got nothing to disclose to people. He should have done that a long time ago. Now, this Machozi Wednesday that is loading and it's coming in 2 days, there's nothing to stop a government from operating. And we cannot even start preparing to respond to that. I mean, how do you start responding to people who want to come and sleep by the roadside? Or people who just want to come and picket and walk around Jivanji? You saw that I think that we were told Jivanji is going to be the mother of all protests. Mass action. And we must address it, because that is probably what you're alluding to. We allow the people who feel that they want to picket to go picket, the people who want to have mass action to have mass action, but we must know that your right to demonstrate ends where my right to do business starts. So as long as you do your demonstrations and you do not disrupt economic activities of people who have invested in this country and who have woken up early morning to go and fend for their families, we are okay with you. But the moment you touch the rights of other people, just know that we shall face you.
Okay.
We shall face you.
Mheshimiwa Tande, 24 billion shillings, that is what's on Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua says, and soon he'll name people who are responsible. But before you answer, on the People Daily here, Gachagua pledges to end monopoly in milk and gas sector. He said that he charged that life has become unbearable, and there are particular people who are now taking direct monopoly on the two sectors. You can connect the two.
Thank you, Victor. Victor, I don't want to discuss Honorable Gachagua. the deputy president. Because what he's simply doing is engaged in diversionary tactics. You know, these are people who have been elected and given the mandate, and they have taken the instruments of power, but they don't know what to do with the instruments of power. So instead of sitting down and focusing on how they can better the lives of Kenyans, they are involved in politics. They are still campaigning. Because if you look at what I heard last week, where the president is still giving further promises, as if the promises they gave during campaigns is not enough. Each and every time they engage in, they continue to give us more promises. We are going to lower the cost of gas. We are going to, to reduce the cost of, the price of unga will come down. When you have taken instruments of power, I want to give you an example, Victor. When Kibaki became the president of this country, and you remember the country was at its lowest in all factors.
Yes.
He did not make any promise. He went and sat down and began to function. He said, we are going to give you free primary education. He had not collected even 1 shilling as tax, but immediately was sown in that free primary education. We started seeing it. So these are people, I would say they are confused, to make it simple. But they don't know what they want to do. They are still promising. In fact, they were not ready to be. I now believe that these people are not elected. Because if you are elected and you know you are going to win election, you know what you are going to do after winning election. I now tend to think that the report that you are given by Baba, the whistleblower report, is very accurate. Because today, I was elected as MP for Lagos Songa. I started work immediately. I knew this is the first thing I need to do, the second thing I need to do. These ones don't know anything. So what they are doing is they're engaged in diversionary tactics of making promises. In fact, it is not in the space of the deputy president to claim that he wants to announce people who stole money from public coffers. There are many other government agencies that should do that, including Parliament. It's not in his space. It is in his space to look for ways of bettering the lives of Kenyans, which he has failed. Secondly, I want to tell my brother here that since he was elected and proposed to sit in the Public Accounts Committee, I have evidence that committee has not started to look at any report. So whatever statements he's talking about here, that is they're going through those reports, that's irrelevant. Is actually just making stories here. And lastly, the question of milk, is milk and what, and gas.
And gas.
You know very well that 80% of Kenyans does not need such statements. Because how many Kenyans want milk? There are other things that Kenyans want. They don't need milk. In fact, even gas. Gas is a luxury. Yeah. There are many problems that...
A majority of Kenyans use gas for their house.
Majority of Kenyans use firewood, not gas.
Urban centers, yes. We do.
But you see, what is the population of Kenyans in urban centers? Is that the first thing that a serious government can address? So, as I'm telling you, and even if they wanted to, I saw them blaming, saying, if Raila Odinga is serious, let him lower the prices of gas. Did you hear something like that?
Yes.
I have heard that statement also. But I'm asking myself, in the gas business, there's no monopoly. There are 20 players, more than 20 players. So, how does Raila Odinga single-handedly lower the prices of gas? Is it because he's a politician? That is one. Secondly, what does the government, if you want prices to come down, there's something that the government must do. The government must provide the conducive environment for the prices to come down. Even for milk. If you are in the milk business, right now there's drought. You know everything, the cost of feeds is gone up.
Yeah.
How would somebody tell you to reduce the price of milk? So we are dealing with people who are in charge of, who have taken over instruments of power illegally, illegitimately, and in addition to that, they have even failed to do simple basic things of making Kenyans' life better. We want to urge these people that for the short time that they are going to hold these instruments of power before we remove them, which you are going to do, let them do something, let them leave us a little legacy. Let them leave a little legacy before they exit that stage, because I don't think that Kenyans will continue to go like this. Kenyans want a leadership that is going to sit down and sort out their problems, not people who are going to churches to make funny statements that do not hold weight.
Okay. Mheshimiwa, do you have a report from your committee? A formal report?
First of all, you must realize that the way Public Accounts Committee works is that we meet 3 days in a week. Today we're going to meet at 2:30. On Thursday we met in the morning at 10:30, and we keep meeting every so often. First of all, that is a committee that has been very busy. You know, one of the most active members of parliament is our chairman, who comes from the opposition, who is Honorable John Badi. And I am not going to respond to what Atandi is trying to talk about. That is why he's in budget and I'm in Public Accounts Committee. But before I talk about that, you know, always when I come to TV, I'm always afraid of displaying my ignorance. And when you say that Kenyans do not need gas, then it really tells a lot. I mean, that is a huge statement that speaks volumes. You know that one of the reasons why you're finding that our rivers are drying up is because our forests and our forest cover is depleted. And we are moving towards, and this is even part of the Millennium Development Goals that had been set a long time ago, and anybody who has gone to school will tell you that we are supposed to be looking at how to protect the environment, and one of the best ways is to stop people from using firewood and moving to a more sustainable source of energy. That is number one. Number two, when you say that that people don't need milk, you need to know that milk is an industry. There are people who rear cattle and they get milk from it so that they sell, and there are people who rely on proceeds from milk. So that is a huge industry that you cannot sit on national TV and play down. You cannot downplay an industry like milk. It supports huge families. Like I've told you today, we are meeting the State Department for Livestock, and we shall be talking about all that. You know these people whose cattle died during drought. You know, when they hear such a statement, there are people whose hearts weep. But now, on the report of public accounts, before we do a report and table it in Parliament, we have to synthesize it ourselves so that what we bring at the end is what is completely final, and the recommendations on action to be taken against either individuals, against state departments, or even ministries.
Right.
Depending on how we think that they spend their money. For that doesn't happen just like the Auditor General doesn't come and give a report in piecemeal. We have to wait until we have evaluated everything, and then we give one report. So the report is coming, and we are yet to finish. We still, you know, we started our work when we opened, when we started in this new session. So we still have some work to do. We still have some ground to cover. But what I'm telling you is already what you have seen in the preliminaries, in the beginning, with the first about 5 state departments that we have dealt with.
But Mheshimiwa Tandi, don't you think now, when you have Raila Odinga, I mean, he's almost coming out with his, you know, his whatever he said that he's going to name at the end of the rallies, that, you know, ends on Wednesday. And then now we have this revelation of 24 billion shillings, which again he claims that was stolen during that period of election. Don't you see a situation where we are going to have a lot of antagonism between the two sides?
First of all, let me just make a clarification. You've heard him saying that they have no report which they have accomplished.
Yes.
And now we are done with that segment. That there's no there's no Public Accounts Committee report that has verified the claims that 24 billion shillings was stolen. So I think we are out of that conversation, and it is very clear. The statements by the Deputy President are just a hearsay, and, you know, as I say, diversionary tactics. Secondly, we are what we are doing as Azimio. We are being pushed by Kenyans. Kenyans are telling us, we voted for you, and you cannot abandon us to these hyenas that are eating us, you know. So what we are doing is that we are being driven by Kenyans, and we are going to we are going to answer to the Kenyans' calls. Kenyans who cannot afford meals, Kenyans who cannot, take their children to school because of this KBC thing, because of these fees that have been raised. Right now, the university fees have also been raised. So we are not going to abandon Kenyans, and we are going to rally Kenyans to ensure that this country is a country that is comfortable to live in. We were not going to sit down. So if they are worried about our meetings that we are going to start, let them just ship out, because we are going to engage in extensive consultations with Kenyans about the state of the economy, about the kind of leadership that is here, and what kind of leadership does Kenyans want. So these things we are going to do them, and I heard some of them threatening that they are not going to do. My friend, the policemen and the army in this country is less than 5% of Kenyans. So whether you are going to bring all the police and all the army officers to Nairobi or everywhere else where Kenyans are going to protest, you won't succeed. Nobody has succeeded. The Arab Springs tried to use the police. They didn't succeed. All you need to do is to answer to some of the prayers we're asking you. Lower the cost of living, make life affordable in Kenya, then you are going to be safe. But as long as you're not doing these
what
things,
if that happens? So what will be the next step for the opposition?
we have put our demands on the table.
And so if they heed to the calls, the rallies will stop and the demonstrations will stop.
Yes, if they answer our prayers, then we are fine. Yeah, we are fine. If they answer our prayers, if tomorrow, if today we see that the price of unga is coming down, and they provide subsidies for fuel, because fuel is the driver, is the engine for high cost of living. If the price of fuel can come down through subsidies, we will be fine.
So that is the end game.
Yes. So we want, because we are not acting on our own behalf. We are acting on behalf of Kenyans. So as long as, because if Kenyans begin to feel comfortable, then they will tell us, okay, you guys, let's not go that direction.
Okay.
Because they will not come to our meetings. If the Kenyans are happy, they will not, even if you call a meeting, they will not come.
Okay.
But because they are not happy, they will still continue to come.
Gombe, you hear what he said, that once, because in each and every meeting they go, Azimio go, they have declarations. So if at all any of those calls is heeded to, then the demonstrations will stop.
First of all, I want to come out clear here and say, Atandi has told me and confided in me previously that his heart is actually not in these rallies and everything. He knows that.
And that is why somebody has actually sent me a message here. I was reading that why is it not been seen in any of these rallies? He's not been seen in any of them, and he's confided in me. He's told me, Bwana, these things, I don't believe in them. I don't like what Baba is doing. But if I don't support them on TV, now my people are not going to vote for me again. That's number one. So
somebody has told me that I'm not seen in rallies.
Wait a minute. I'm on the floor.
No. I think that must be challenged.
Victor,
because I have attended all.
Your time will come. You will respond.
I'm part of the planning of the Azimio rally. So what are you talking about?
You will respond. Your time will come. You'll respond. Just be civil a bit and wait for your turn to come. You'll be given the mic. Now, Victor, it's oxymoronical for someone who says that there is no government in power, that there is no government that was elected by the people, to ask the same entity, because now it's not a government according to them, so to ask it to lower the cost of living for the, first of all, let's set some things clear. Do we have a government in power? If we do, then make demands of it, knowing that it is a government. You cannot say that you don't recognize the government that is elected by the people of Kenya. And this is a democracy. We say the majority will have their way and the minority will have their say. They had their say at the ballot, we had our way. And that is how democracies operate now. Once you're done with that and you've established that now there's a sitting government, now respect the government. And that is why we want these people to come and help us form something called a formal official opposition in parliament within the constitution, so that they behave. Because what they're enjoying now is what we call the prerogative of the harlot. It is power without responsibility. Your work is to wake up in the morning, you say, okay, today we are going to, you say Jacaranda. Okay, fine, let's go to Jacaranda. What he's saying is planning. There's no planning. It's just calling each other and asking, okay, where do we go to do? Because you do not want to participate in economic activities. And this is what we're saying. Kenyans must know that we must work. We must have a culture of working. This thing of maandamano every time is not going to bring food to anybody's doorstep. So people must engage in economic activities. And my brother, you must tell your people, instead of taking people to maandamano by the roadside, tell them to go and engage in economic activities. That is why you do not find that milk is an industry that should be protected. You should be telling your people to go and have livestock and harvest milk, and then they will create an industry. We should even be exporting milk to other countries that do not have capacity to grow, to produce milk. That is why you do not understand that gas is an industry, because and there's a monopoly in it. When you're in that industry, you'll understand that there are people who had monopolized that industry. So when you tell your people to engage in economic activities other than coming to Jivanji and sitting and saying that the government should do ABCD, please educate you. You have that responsibility. You are an elected leader of parliament. Just come to parliament, put legislation that is going to help economic activities of your people. If it is fishing, let them have an industry where we have proper processing of fish, so that that fish gets to the market, even not just in our Kenyan market, not just in Kisumu and the areas that surround it. This should be an industry. We have fish that comes to this country from Japan. We have fish that comes to this industry from China. Why are we not exporting that is freshwater lake fish to other places, and we are always getting other products from even saltwater fish from other countries? I mean, but once you tell your people that we shall not engage in any economic activities, and instead our problems come from the government that is in power. And you know, look at this. In 2007, the problem was the government that was in power at that time. It was Kibaki. You know what happened in this country. In 2012 and 2014, and around that time, the problem was Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, in 2022, 2023 rather, the problem is Ruto. So you must tell them there's something. And we must teach our people the truth. We must tell them the truth, that we must engage in economic activities. Even when we pay, even when we ask for and when we demand for services in this government, services do not mean handouts. And we must get away from this culture of handouts.
Okay,
Victor,
yes.
Victor, when ignorant people debate on TV, it's very sad. He's talking about our people not engaging in economic activity. But
I'm talking about you not understanding economic activities.
Right now, as an example, in Gatundu South, where it comes from, we are actually distributing relief food. In my place, Siaya, there's nobody who wants relief food, because our people work hard and they can fend for themselves. They have food. They don't go around asking for it. These people are being fed with relief food every day. I'm asking myself, why would a government take
is that situation?
Why should the government take Gatundu South, Gatundu North?
You know, it is very
relief food every day that Gachagua is distributing in those areas.
It is very easy for
in Nyanza, we even rejected. The Minister for Information started to distribute relief food in Nyanza. We told him, no, we don't need relief food. Bring us something substantial. So I want to clarify.
It is wrong to lie.
I want to clarify here. No, that's the truth.
That is wrong.
And if you go,
maybe you can confirm
the member of parliament for Gatundu
information. But
member of parliament for Gatundu South, you cannot speak for my people of Gatundu South.
But
you speak for the people of Lego Soga.
I'm saying that you have received relief food in Gatundu South.
Where? What evidence do you have,
Victor? Please, you go and look for us.
I'm just saying.
Put your hands out and get some information.
I'm just saying.
Relief food was distributed in your constituency by this government.
All right.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that our people are working very hard.
And by the way, let me just put this clear. There's nothing wrong with distributing relief food for a government that cares for its people.
People are economically serious.
For a government that cares for its people. Because you know, if you look at this paper, you see that the situation of the rivers. And this is not something that has just been brought by this government. The government did not bring dry rivers. This is something that we have a responsibility to deal with as a society. And you know that in our country, and you must be honest with each other, you know that in our country we rely on rain-fed agriculture, and that is what the government, and that in the last 10 years, what the government should have been doing in the last 10 years, the government that killed Galana Kulalu, that we have our own, so that we're able to
you have 20 seconds to make a point before you take a break.
So that we're able to be full sustenance. Is this government
please, Kagomba, you are out of order. You are out of order.
So what I was saying is that we are leaders in this country.
Yes.
And Baba and the Azimio coalition, we got more support across the country than the minority government. And they have usurped the instruments of state. They are collecting taxes on behalf of Kenyans. We do not collect tax on behalf of Kenyans. That is the reason why we are asking them, because they are the ones in charge, illegally or illegitimately. They must make life better for Kenyans. Are you getting that point?
Sure.
Are you getting? You are the one. You are the one in charge. So you have to make life better for Kenyans now. Otherwise, you have no reason to be in charge of anything.
All right, gentlemen, let's take a break, and we come back. I still want us to discuss more on this issue of party folding. We saw this happen during the last regime when some parties were told to fold, and thereafter what happened in the last general election. So before then, just to give you a quick run-up, that on Friday the opposition troops will storm Raila's Nyanza backyard with a mega rally in Migori County. Mheshimiwa, again the following day they will camp in Narok County. On Sunday the team will stage a major rally in Mombasa, one of the opposition leaders' traditional political strongholds, and finally they will troop to the neighboring county of Kilifi on Monday. So that is as far as the Raila's itinerary is concerned, as far as, again, their rallies is concerned. All right, let's take a break, and we come back. We still have much more to talk about after this. Stay with us. Right, welcome back, and I'm glad that you are still with us. All right, so over the past few days, starting last week, the UDA got a new Secretary General, that is Cleophas Malala, and now the drive is now to bring all the parties together. That is all the parties affiliated to the Kenya Kwanza to fold and form one bloc. And so far, there is an uproar and some rejection from ANC and Ford Kenya, who are saying that they are opposed to that. Now, let's take a look at what Honorable Cleophas Malala said yesterday, preceding to that kind of action. Let's take a look.
Itakuwa ya amani, so that Kenyans can speak. Ama sivyo, you be bottomed up, unakaliwa juu chini, huwezi kupumua, haiwezekani.
Na sisi hatupigi kifua. Kama hawaamini hiyo, wafungue sava. Ukweli.
All right, okay, that's not the correct one. We'll get to the correct clip. But gentlemen, we've seen this happen in the last regime. Several parties were told to fold, they folded, and now it's like the history is now repeating itself. Mheshimiwa Kagombo, you belong to the UDA. What's the plan?
The sentiments of Honorable Malala have been taken out of context and misconstrued. And I know the opposition is now up in arms, and they now want to sack that, to milk that statement dry. You know, there are several members of the Kenya Kwanza coalition who are now in the cabinet. One among them is Moses Kuria, who happens to be my constituent. And you remember when he was elected to cabinet, he wound up his party, which was called the Chama cha Kazi. So what Malala was saying is that that was a good sign of a good government that is working together.
Yeah.
For other people who are within the government to wind up their parties. And that statement is not an official position of the Kenya Kwanza coalition. Because if that were to be the official position, it should have been communicated that day when he was elected. All right, when was elected to that office, when we elected him to that office, then that is when the communique would have been made. So this is a statement that he said, and you know, it was by the roadside. It was just coming from the church, and he mentioned that. But there's nothing wrong with the people working together. Why do we form coalitions? We form coalitions because we realize that we need to work together.
Yeah. Why
did Azimio go and get Jubilee and ODM and other people and say, okay, now we are... You remember we even had a problem saying whether we didn't know whether Raila Odinga was vying as an ODM candidate or an Azimio candidate, because parties had come and seen the power of synergy and the importance of synergy to work together because you have the same direction. There's nothing wrong with Kenya Kwanza saying now we want to work together and let's follow this direction. But this is a conversation to be had. If we have the conversation and say, okay, let's retain our own individual parties because we have this reason and we have this other reason, and we have very consultative government. If you look at how things have been done, a lot of times there have been meetings, there have been PG meetings, we've held PG meetings and said, okay, which direction do you want us to go?
Yeah.
And we have always done that. So the sentiments of Cleopas Malala should not be blown out of context, and we let people not create a hill out of a mountain, out of a molehill. It's just a small thing.
Okay, let's take a listen on that story on what is coming up before we continue the discussion.
The political class went on a series of meetings across the country on Sunday to seek for support from Kenyans on various issues, while commending Investments, Trade and Industry Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria for heeding to his calls of dissolving Chama cha Kazi to fully support the United Democratic Alliance. The newly installed UDH Secretary General Cleophas Malala urged other Cabinet Secretary to follow suit.
He is the first Cabinet Secretary to fold up his party and support His Excellency President William Ruto, and therefore I'll be requesting his fellow Cabinet Secretaries this week, kindly fold your parties and join the ruling party.
Maandamano ambayo yatakuwepo.
Fold your parties and form the ruling parties. But Mheshimiwa Tande, we've seen this happen in the past, and most of the parties do fold, yes, but when they head towards an election, there is always a split. Is this going to run towards the final end?
Victor, this is unfortunately one of the areas I want to agree with Malala. We have never agreed in the past, but on this one I want to agree with him. Kenya does not need these village-based ethnic tribal political parties. We have parties like Ford Kenya, a village-based political party. We have parties like ANC, village-based political parties. We have parties that constitute Kenya Kwanza. You don't need these parties.
The two parties you've mentioned have members of parliament, even governors.
Less than 10,
Timami is governor.
Less than 10 members of parliament. You know,
but that does not bring it to a level.
Those are parliamentary. Those are actually, you know,
for you to be a parliamentary. Listen, let me teach you. For you to be a parliamentary political party, you must have in our parliament, you must have more than 20 members of parliament.
Not 20.
Any party that has less than 20 members of parliament is not parliamentary. 5. And you find that these are even the members of parliament that are there. Yes. They are from one county. If you look, they're just one county. So Kenya needs 2 or 3 strong political parties, so that we can kill this ethnic politics. This ethnic politics is not good for us. We need two strong political parties, so that we can do politics of ideology, so that we will be saying the ODM party pursues this politics. Like in the US, the Republicans and the Democrats, they alternate.
Yes.
And we know what they stand for. Like now, these Republicans that are running, the Democrats that are in the US, they are the ones that are promoting these gay things. That is what they believe in. And that's why even when they come here, they talk to the president. They tell the president, please, can you allow these gays to thrive so that we give you money? That's what's happening. Yeah, even the Supreme Court ruling, they called and they said, we need you to, don't fight these gays. They are our people. They are our supporters in the US. So when the members of the Democratic Party in the US see that their members in Kenya are being harassed through some of these legislations, they tell their president, please go to Kenya and help, so that we can send money. So that's what's happening. What's happening here with these gays? I heard the president trying to condemn it, but it was too late in the day.
Which we'll come to.
It was too late. So
we'll come to that.
We want to have 2 or 3 strong political parties that are not based on ethnicity, because our problem as a country is ethnicity. Right now, you are in one of the headlines there, you're talking about how 3 tribes are dominating teachers, TSC numbers. Have you seen that?
Right.
Let's kill those things. Let's have 2 strong parties, so that it will even be possible for a person from a small minority group to become the president of Kenya. Right now, the president.
But is that one of the dangers of an open democracy in Kenya? Because we have almost over 80 political parties registered by the registered political parties.
That's why we are saying that the campaign that Malala started is very good. I want to join him. Let us follow these ethnic-based political parties, so that we can have 2 strong political parties, so that we can have a minority, somebody from a minority tribe getting to become the president of Kenya. Right now, it's impossible. It's impossible.
When you have two big gentlemen, Musalia Mudavadi and Wetangula, who are all jittery about folding their political parties and forming UDA. What does that show to the ruling coalition?
Before I comment on that,
is it even too soon for the two gentlemen to rebuff?
If anybody who's been in this country, and I would like to educate my brother here, because maybe owing to his, I don't know, but maybe he wasn't here in 1992, and before then, he would know the dangers of having or heading towards one party. He should know the dangers that we have had in the last 10 years because of opposition joining the government. Because then we start an oppressive kind of regime. So we must popularize democracy, and we must allow people to form parties. It is granted in the law. If I want to form a political party, then I should go ahead and form a political party. That's number one. Number two, if you listened, and it is important that you know that these people, when we speak here, don't put words in people's mouths. Malala said he's requesting. It is his view. It is his opinion that people should probably come together and
supporting his opinion.
And it is okay. Yes. You're entitled to it. You support it. But you're saying there's nothing wrong, and it is not the legal and the position of Kenya Kwanza Coalition that we kill our parties. No. We belong to UDA, and if smaller parties, and I said, if we find that it is going to be easier to run a government that way, that everybody comes. I mean, someone like Musalia Mudavadi is in the cabinet. Wetangula, who is in Fort Kenya, then is also in the Speaker of the National Assembly, who is elected by a majority of members of Parliament. So if we find that it is important to come together and work together, like we have come and worked together under Azimio la Umoja, and like we have done under Kenya Kwanza Coalition, then it is fine. But I would want to say this, and when history is written, I would like it to go that I propose and I promote democracy. And one of the ways of promoting democracy is allowing people to form parties. We have come from a situation, and we cannot forget where we've come from. We've come from a position where Kenyans were oppressed by a regime that did not allow people to form a political party. You could not coalesce somewhere and decide and forge a way in your politics. We must not go back to those days, and we must be very careful. So I'm not saying we are going to go back to those days. It's not even possible, because this is a coalition of willing people. We came to Kenya Kwanza because we wanted to come and join other people and work with them. When people met, there was no coercion. People just came and sat and joined hands and said, let's work with you and you and you, and then we win the government.
When you have three gentlemen, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi of ANC, National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula, that is of Ford Kenya, and now Attorney General Justin Muturi of DP, who are leading the resistance, what does it show now to the government?
First of all, that is the choice of that media house that has chosen to say that the Wetangula and Mudavadi are jittery.
Okay.
They actually have not made formal statements to respond to Malala. Why are we anticipating what they will say? They might not even respond to it because it was just a statement that was made by the roadside. So we should just wait. There is nothing jitter. Nobody has jitters.
Okay.
We are okay.
Okay.
We have no jitters. We are fine. We have better things to do. We are dealing with the bigger things. And I've had the member of parliament for Lagos Songa here alluding to issues that he knows have been perpetrated by their members. And these issues that he's talking about, gayism and everything, we know who goes to America to ask for help. We know the people who are supporting, who are pro-West in this country. We know it is not the government, it is the opposition.
Okay.
And it has been said previously that we know that they are the ones who watu ya maandamano and watu ya kitendawili and people of
we'll get to that.
Victor, I urge you to protect this show from pedestrian arguments. What he's talking about is village arguments. Now, let me say that what we are saying, what I'm asking, why I'm supporting Malala, Senator Malala, is we are not saying that we are going to change the law to make Kenya a single party or a two-party state. Actually, the constitution says Kenya is a multi-party democracy. So, but what we are saying, this is just for the sake of debate, and we are urging these people who are controlling these kiosks in the former political parties. Let them follow the kiosk. Let's go to a supermarket. Let's have 2 big supermarkets to serve us. So, but it is going to be good for us as a country if we have 2 political parties, and then these parties can define their ideologies. Like us as UDM, we are known as a pro-poor political movement. We pursue politics of social democracy. We believe in the empowerment of the poor. We need that each and every section of this country needs to be taken care of, and we want to make life better. That's our philosophy, our political ideology. So now we need these other people, the ones in charge. These are thieves, the ones in charge. The people who believe in theft, stealing of public resources, opulence. If you look at the kind of life people in government are living, they live in opulence. So we can christen them as capitalists, people who believe in opulence and but then now we can have those 2 ideologies competing for state power. And if they win, we know that the people who have won are people who take us the direction. If ODM wins, we know ODM is a political party that is founded on the social democracy, social welfare, because if you look at the things that Baba promised, they were basically social welfare. We wanted to give Kenyans poor Kenyans money, 6,000 shillings. You saw our promises.
Right.
These guys didn't promise those things. That's why they are taking away subsidies. They're making life harder. So we need to know that this political party, they believe in this kind of politics, and with this kind of politics. We need to have 2 strong political movements that will be able to help Kenya entrench democracy, not ethnic.
Is that about to happen in the Azimio?
It's a good debate. It's a good debate which Malala started, and we want to advance it, so that even within the Azimio, we can still also fall in Azimio, as then we can have one strong movement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, Mheshimiwa, when you look at the 3 gentlemen speaking, somebody would argue that this is just a scripted kind of play. The 3 gentlemen now coming, whether it is there's no official communication to that or otherwise, but it seems like it's more scripted.
Well, it is wrong to pretend that we're not a government and there is no consultation, and we must read from the same script. Ultimately, because we are not a government of maandamano, we must sit together and agree on a position.
And what is the risk of having so many political parties within Kenya Kwanza? What is the risk?
Well, honestly, it's just avoiding what now could be happening, whether you have disjointed communication or where you seem to be reading scripts from different scripts. It's just you want to have a homogeneous communication. This is politics, and a lot of people read a lot of things even when they're not there. So you want to have homogeneous communication coming from within. That is what informs Malala to want to do that, and that is also again what brings people together. And I keep saying, you want to come together and say we are Kenya Kwanza.
Yeah.
You want to say you're Kenya Kwanza because you want to have one singular movement that has a unity of purpose, all right? But I want to respond to what the member of parliament here is alluding to. You do not come and call people thieves. And when they say we know who it is who stole, then you say you do not want you to say. You do not come and say we won elections and then you say you want servers to be opened, and you know that servers are open. Even when you oppose a government, please do it with some order, have some decorum. You can't actually just call someone a thief when you're saying we know who the thieves are, we know who stole the money, and when we tell you we want to say, you say no, don't say. But then you come and say no, we know the thief. No, why are you don't want the deputy president to say who it is who stole. It might also benefit you to know who stole, because you don't know. You have no benefit of knowing, because you wouldn't know that is theft, because you think it is just...
We can also give him time, because the deputy president just a few days to naming the list. So
yeah, we give him time.
We also wait to see.
Let them not come before and say no, don't say. We want to know. Wouldn't you want to know who stole?
I'd love to know.
Exactly. Everybody wants to know who stole. So let us be told.
Victor, what I was saying is that it is not in the space of the DP to tell us who stole, because the government, the constitution has given us various offices that are funded. We have the EACC, we have the Auditor General, we have all these offices. From where the man sits, I don't think he has any information.
Those are offices.
Why can't he allow the relevant officers to be the one to, because he wants to play politics with a matter which is very serious. I wish he can get out of this conversation, because we know he's not a serious person. If he was a serious person, we'd take him seriously, but he's not. So we want to urge him not to dilute the conversation. We want people who have stolen our resources to be unveiled, and they just not need to be unveiled, they need to be prosecuted. If you have stolen public money, you need to be prosecuted. That one is what I stand for and what we stand for. But we don't want this thing to be politicized. Yeah, because if he wants to do politics with it, that is unnecessary, and it is not within his space.
All right. So, gentlemen, before we take a break, I want to give you 2 minutes each, because we want to bring this conversation closer home to Gatundu South, and also bring it closer home to Alego Songa. I'll start by asking you, Mheshimiwa Kagombe, you are serving your first term in Parliament, and the people of Gatundu South also gave you that mandate. They're looking up to you for leadership. What have you done for them so far?
First of all, the challenges that we were facing initially we had serious challenges in security, and the first thing I did when I got to office is to restructure the security apparatus in the constituency, which we have actually done, and now we no longer have theft. We used to have theft of livestock and crops and avocado and everything. We have dealt with that. We have also made sure that we had a serious challenge of water. And even as we have the challenges that we're finding here, which are now countrywide and probably, bigger than that, we had some places that were very hard hit by water, so by water shortage. So what we've done is that we got some 5 access points from the Karimeno Dam, and now we have access to that water that is coming out, although now we also have a shortage within the dam. But now once the rain comes and now we have proper water, then you're going to supply water supply them with water. We're also already doing a dam. And we're doing a dam at a place called Wamuguma that is going to supply a lot of people within...
Is that dam commissioned by the county constituency or the national government?
It's the national government.
National government, okay.
National government. So, but that's now the whole point, that you have a conversation between Athi Water and national government, and now that's why we go and do that. The other thing that we are now doing currently is because we've realized the seriousness of these water issues. And we know that even now when we sink our boreholes and we sink our wells, they're drying up because we have not been recharging the groundwater. So we have partnered with some UN organizations, and what we're doing now is to create buffer dams so that we recharge the groundwater, so that, because our people are farmers.
Yes.
And what they need most is water. So we are recharging the groundwater and tapping water to supply them with irrigation water. We are already on at a place called Rafura project that is going to give a very good chunk of our residents irrigation water, so that in future, and this we are going to be done with by June. We'll have finished laying the pipes for the first phase of that of the Rafura Dam. And that's an irrigation project that goes all the way to even having mapped out the land that individual people are going to farm and how much water they need. Then I'm just in the process. I've just finished doing bursary, because you know the other thing that really pains our people is that we have no access to good education because it is expensive, and therefore what you need is to supplement them with money to pay school fees. I had about 6,622 primary school applicants. 6,000? Secondary school applicants, 6,622, 6622, and 1,800 or thereabout for tertiary institutions. And that is a huge percentage of the population that I have, because my population is about 9,500 of the people who are within secondary schools, who are secondary school going. That tells you that a huge percentage, over 90%, are in need of bursary funds. And that is why we are even asking for more support, from national government. And that is why, as a government, we are asking to entrench this fund in the constitution, so that we are able to provide our people with such help. And also to make sure that education is more accessible, because some of these people are also in private schools, and others are in other non-government tertiary institutions that need to be regulated, so that the cost of education is not so high. So generally, those are the issues that we've been dealing with. But I know we have more serious issues. You know, when the president came and we said, even despite the drought persisting, we know that there will be better times ahead. And what we've already done is that we are supporting dairy farmers by giving them coolers, so that they're able to consolidate their milk and collect the milk together and have a cooler. Right now, I've made a request to the Ministry of Livestock and Ministry of Cooperatives. They're giving us, they've promised us 4 coolers, and we have 2 more coolers coming from the Ministry of Livestock Development in the next that they've promised in the next maybe 5 or so months, because they're purchasing and then shipping. So that is what we are doing to support them, and we have now started an avocado aggregation center. And we are working with the women representative from Kiambu County to form an aggregation center where, when we do not have people who are very organized, especially people who are where coffee used to grow and they do not have proper areas to aggregate their avocado, then we are going to aggregate it from there. The last thing that we're doing is that we've taken all the primary schools, and we are supporting them with the avocado seedlings, so that they plant and they sell this avocado and be self-sustaining, so that they do not become so hard on the parents asking them for support of other things that are not supported by the government. You know, like a lot of times schools are at pains getting money to raise to pay officers like non-teaching staff, you know, watchmen and other people to cook for children and such things. So that is what we're really
Let's take a break and come back. I'm still quite interested in understanding how, two gentlemen, how you're handling the issue of education, health, and primary health care in your constituencies, and even the economic aspect for these 2 constituencies in Kenya. Quite important. So let's take a break and we come back. I'll come back with you, Mheshimiwa Samuel Atandi of Alego Songa, shortly after this. Welcome back. All right, so to the final bit of this one, Mheshimiwa Atandi, you're going to tell us what the people of Alego Songa have so far benefited the first term, and what they should expect of you now that you're serving your second term in office. But the most important bit is the issue of bursary. I mean, we have got 100% transition to school. We have got grade 7 now. What are you doing in terms of bursary?
Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Victor. I had very good plans. Remember, this is my second term. I had very good plans when I was re-elected, and these plans have been cut short because of the failure by national government to provide for resources that we need on the ground implement some of our programs. But what I can say that I'm proud of this far is that in terms of scholarship, you know, I provide full scholarship to top students from my constituency, to whichever school they have been invited to. This year I had about 40 top students who went to Mangu, Alliance, Starehe. All those students from poor backgrounds, they went to those schools, courtesy of my CDF full scholarship program. This has done very well. In fact, if you go to some constituencies, you hear this student got 400 marks, they have not been able to go to school. In Alego Usonga, there's nothing like that. So this has been very good with the limited resources we have. Remember the CDF resources, we are in the last phase of the financial year, we're actually in the third quarter. But we have hardly received 40 million shillings out of 160 million which are entitled to Alego Usonga. So we are not doing very well. I wish Baba was the president, because you know Baba had promised free primary and secondary education. We will not be having these cases where students are dropping out of school. So alongside that, we have been pushing for the improvement of infrastructure across the constituency. I represent the largest constituency in that segment in Nyanza and Western, because my constituency has a population of about 380,000 people and voter numbers 125,000 as per last elections. So we have more schools than my neighboring constituencies. We have more primary schools, we have more secondary schools. And so we have been trying to improve infrastructure in each and every school. But alongside that, we have also a program where we are saying that we want to have model schools award, so that we can have a ward-based model school with all the facilities, with computers, everything.
Yes.
So we have started that program. This year we are going to build a model school. We are going to improve a model school. There's an existing school called Ambrosa Dea Dongo in South East Alego Ward. Every ward we are going to have a model school. So we are committing at least 18 million shillings to build a model school in each and every ward. So in the next 5 years, we are going to have each of our wards having a model secondary school.
What can people of Alego Usonga sit and say Mheshimiwa Tandi has done something that they can, you know, is quite visible to them?
Yes, for my last term, you remember Alego Usonga, for the last 30 years, since multi-party democracy was introduced, no MP has been re-elected. I'm the first.
Actually, I was
re-elected because of my soft programs.
They usually go one term.
Yes, I have programs that touch on education and welfare of the people. Yeah, I work closely with the poor, and I work with schools to ensure that each and every school has a reliable food supply. We provide, we have selected some schools where we are supporting the agricultural programs. We are giving them seeds and fertilizers, and we are helping them to grow food. But more importantly, I work with the poor. I work with the poor women. I have programs that touch on the women, widows. Our widows are vulnerable. And
Mheshimiwa also talked about primary health care. And we talk about primary health care. You have got community health volunteers in you call the Nyamrerwa.
Yes, we have Nyamrerwa, but that's a program under the county government.
Yes.
I thank God that the current governor is working closely with us in that respect. So in Alego Usonga, we have many Nyamrerwas. Most of them work closely with me, and we have also brought
community health volunteers.
We have also brought,
I thought something was being cooked here. Now I was looking to
community health.
Yes, and what I also want to say that we are partnering with a number of NGOs that are working with us with Nyamrerwas, with the community. One of the problems we had in my constituency, a section of my constituency, was Jiga's menace. And you know, Jiga is a question of the problem of water and poverty. Together with the Nyamrerwas and a number of NGOs like AMREF, we are going deep into the homes and supporting those homes to improve the housing situation. So we are doing a lot of those programs with the community, just to lift the people. Then of course with the youths, we have a number of our youths who are finished university, they are not employed. There are a number of youths who are finished Form 4, they don't have jobs. So I have a program within my CDF structure where we are taking them to tertiary institutions.
Right. There's a message here to you gentlemen. There's a lady called Silali asking, how do you benefit from your two respective constituencies? Now that, they are worlds apart, but how does Alego Usonga benefit from Gatundu South and vice versa?
We exchange notes in Parliament. We have done a lot of, we exchange notes and we visit. By the way, in Parliament, we are not, but party doesn't matter. If he has good idea, we will probably work together and even go to his constituency. We are doing a lot of that because we have to benchmark with what our colleagues are doing. There are some colleagues that are very creative.
Right.
Like something which the MP for Kiharu has done is something which all of us are trying to see how we can implement it, of reducing the cost of school fee for day scholars, secondary schools to 1,000 shillings per term. Yes, so we are always comparing. There's also something which most of our colleagues have introduced, like this school feeding program. It is working well in some constituencies, even in the urban centers. We are trying to see if it can work in the rural areas. So we compare notes a lot with our colleagues and see best practices. We also visit and see the structures that they are doing. So we are doing everything. But I wish his government, his so-called government, was serious, because right now we have 3 months to the end of the financial year, and we need money on the ground. There is no subsidy. There's no subsidy on unga. There's no subsidy on fuel. And there's no CDF. So you ask us, where are these guys taking money? My brother, please stop stealing public money. Let us get public money on the ground. Tell Mr. Gachagua, tell the president we need money on the ground. Not that you hold all the money in Nairobi, in offices. Your prayers need to be less expensive. In fact, even the teas that are dark in State House need to be less expensive. When President Uhuru was there, you said there was alcohol. Alcohol was cheaper than tea. So please let us see what you can do.
How do you benefit from Alego?
First of all, it's laughable what Mwatandi is doing here. You can't. Anyway, I'll come to that. And you see, he cannot have two sentences. He's just saying this government is illegal, those things, they are stealing, you're keeping money. But you know where money comes from. Government does not have a side hustle, and government doesn't go and keep money somewhere. Government makes money from taxes, and government, he knows this thing that he's saying that there is no money is not something that came with this government. It is the previous government. They were he was in parliament, and he knows what they did. He was in budget committee. He knows that they budgeted for money that they did not disburse before they left power. But that's not it. When it comes to issues of how communities or how constituencies benefit from each other, as he says, it is true. At times you benchmark, especially like now I've been to some different constituencies where they have school feeding programs.
Yes.
But what we've found out, there's something called Tap to Eat, and we're trying to implement it in our constituencies. But he will tell you that that has worked in urban constituencies because they're able to have a kitchen and then supply the food because they're smaller in size. Yeah. So we find it very challenging because our constituencies are a little expansive, so it's a bit expensive because you might have to do different kitchens, maybe in every ward, and even some wards where we come from, some of our wards are more expansive than a lot of an entire constituency within some urban constituencies. So we have those challenges, but we try to learn from each other. We have issues of, like now he has been a member of parliament before. So when we come, I ask him, how have you been conducting your CDF projects? How do you do your project? How do you spend your money? Because there are people who, there's a way you conduct your expenditure to do programs, like now something we call labor-based contracting, but it's actually not labor-based because there has to be ways within the law that you look at it and so that it's not illegal. So those are issues that we talk to them and ask them how they're proceeding, and then we work together. There is also something called G-Unite that we are now promoting from the Ministry of Education that helps children from our constituencies go to other constituencies and have some sort of an exchange program.
Localization. Right.
Yeah, and they go there, see how people live in Alego Usonga. They stay there. They're adopted by a family there. They stay with them for some months or some days, and then and we are overseeing them, and we have people like community people from the Ministry of Education who go and evaluate how they're living, so that we also get we get a society that is cohesive. It is very important for a child from Gatundo South to go and stay in Alego Usonga and stay there for a few months, so that they understand that those people are also human beings, the way they live, their, their culture, understand all those things. So that when you bring people to parliament, you do not bring someone like Atandi who thinks that people from Gatundu are thieves and they're animals and they eat people. That. So, Victor, I don't so think that like you bring someone who is fully formed.
I don't think like that. That's not me.
That's a lighter note. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I'm told you're running out of time. We've done more than enough that we bargained for. Thank you so much for coming to the show. That is Samuel Atandi, Member of Parliament, Alego Usonga, and Gabriel Kagombe, MP, that is of Gatundu South. And you as a viewer, thank you so much for waking up with us. Until this particular point, that's where we wrap it up on Iron Politics. Until tomorrow, have a good morning. Bye-bye.
Very good.